let's see what's going on with Shawn Plant. And this was at the Manchester Super Major in England. So tons of people, I think it's like 256 people. So let's see what's going on with Shawn Plant. So I hunted down this guy's placement and list because I wasn't willing to just pay attention to the people that are in the top 15. That's boring. But he was the best performing orc list from what I've seen. And he called it the Angry Mob. So we have a Beast Boss on Squigglesword, Edwapa's Kill Choppa, Captain Badrook, Mazrog's Cragbag, 2 War Bosses, 3 units of boys. I like that. 2 trunks, a battle wagon, flash skits, 3 units of Gretchen, and the Kommandos unit was good. Then followed by 2 units of 5-man of Nobz. We know that those attached to the 2 War Bosses. So, small scalpels to get in there, get some damage done. 2 Storm Boy units and 1 War Biker unit. Ooh, fantastic. This get decided. I'm bringing the Mandos, and I love them for it. Did I go out of my way to hunt this down for some reason just because I'm Mando favorite? No, but you can think that. So, and I appreciate that he has Mazrog and the Beast Boss on Squigglesword and Captain Badrook. So he brought all the goods, right? And I'm a fan of just boys in trucks or just boys in the field. So him just having boys on the list feels good. But he did end up taking a loss turn 1. So let's take a look at what he lost to. And this was World Eater. And when I seen this, it caught me a little off guard. But I know in my experience, if you end up going first and you make a mistake or he makes a long bomb charge, that can kind of make things unravel real quick. If you have Angron come back to life, 2 men too easily, or you don't get the damage off on him, that could be damaging, right? He doesn't have like a good volume of ways to kill Angron. Have a Beast Boss. He doesn't have a big unit of Nobz, or what we call a Scalpel unit, right? A big man unit of Nobz, 10-man unit with a War Boss. That's digging out what the problem is. Doesn't have gas for the lethals to maybe use a Beast Boss unit and a Beast Boss on foot to take out Angron either. So I could see Angron kind of running train. If Angron gets a charge off on Maz or a Beast Boss on Squigglesword, he can very much just one-shot them. And then when they fight on death in him, he might just get lucky, at least against Maz, and just tank him on 4-up invulns, or, he might just not put a bunch of damage from the Beast Boss on the Squigglesword. Maybe you just roll like 3 4s and then he only takes 6 damage and then you feel no pain some of them. So you actually do need more killing volume and reliability to kill Angron out of there. And I understood that if you don't, like we've seen with this kind of list, that it doesn't really have that huge damage check, Angron could be unlucky there. I might be wrong on what I perceive, but I think that's kind of how this went, because we already know World Eaters can do good, get kind of crumped by Orcs, but that doesn't mean you always lose, right? So we have 2 units of Jackals, 3 8-bound units, and then 3 units of Exalted 8-bound, followed by 3 units of Chaos Spawn and a Rhino. And that's the other thing I want to point out with this list. He has 6 units of 8-bound. That way, when you fight on death, you're not getting that reliable, huge trade in value, right? A Nob with the War Boss costs more than an Exalted 8-bound, right? Because as you can see where I'm going here, right? It's like, oh, okay, hold on, what? So even if I fight on death 2 CP, I can't do it all over the place. What's going on? And you're still making a bunch of charges. They choose to advance and charge on that turn. So I can see this list. I could understand exactly how that kind of started getting rough. You don't have the units that are going to take a punch from any of these things besides Maz and the Beast Boss on Squigglesword. Even if you overwatch an 8-bound unit, there's other 8-bound units. You're not really getting the value trade there. Even if you kill the Jackals, or if he frontlines the Jackals into you because he knows he's going to use them to screen and stop you from getting charges off on him, the Jackals can just blood mark that objective or whatever the heck it's called, and then it's theirs. They don't even have to go interact with it anymore. So remember, that can be a factor too. He could just use 1 in the back and then move the other ones forward to get in your way. So he does have a lot of activations here. He does have the ability to move up and scout forward, and he does have Favorite of Corn. This is actually my favorite version of the World Eaters list that I've seen so far that still uses infantry. I don't hate the Lord of Skulls version or anything like that, but I think if people are still using the 8-pound and everything, they can really take note from this list, because this looks like the most potent version of that list. So yeah, I get that, Shawn Plant lost to them. That doesn't mean that it was by any means an easy win just because it's 8-pound. I mean, just because it's World Eaters. You can see that his list was quite refined to go, hey, actually into Orcs, you're not getting great trades here. And that would suck as an Orc player to see that, to see another melee army and go, hey, I'm not getting great trades here. You're able to fight me with units that don't need a character, and I do. So that kind of sucks, right? Let's see. And then his second matchup, though, he goes, time for redemption. We have the new Vanguard Marines. We have Space Marines, Ultramarines here, Apothecary Biologist, Librarian and Phobos Arbor, Magnus Calgar, and Uriel Ventress. Very cool. Very great. Magnus Calgar is awesome for his points. Uriel Ventress is actually, I think, just good in the Vanguard detachment. Let's see what else he had. He had the Centurion Devastator Squad. So these guys are coming off the side of the table with the strat for additional AP and such. Really annoying. Company of Heroes, that's going to be for our real Ventress. The Eradicator Squad, sorry, did I move something? Eradicator Squad, those are really cool. I think like for how cheap they are for 95 points. When they get into this big unit, it's like, right? I've had a big unit like this. As soon as I pop Hard as Nails on Maz and they think they can kill Maz, and you're like, I can Hard as Nails them. And they're like, oh, I'm still going to do it because I reroll everything. It's like, yeah, taking a great risk there, buddy. So sometimes they actually do eradicate something, and sometimes it's like, oops, I don't think I've invested in that fully. So Eradicators, and then Inceptor. Yeah, one Inceptor small unit with bolters, and then the big damage dealing units Inceptors with the Plasma Exterminate, which, they do seem potent and dangerous, but like, for example, a 3-man unit of these doesn't reliably pop an Orc, and then you're going to use a 260 point to do it. It's like, ugh, right? Another unit and right here, like I just said, here's a 3-man unit. 3-man unit doesn't reliably pop an Orc truck. It can, they can go off and do it. I'm just saying they don't reliably do it. Infiltrator Squad, and then 2 scouts followed by Caladius Assassin. So pretty decent list, but as you can see, the one thing I'm noticing is no combat potential, counter charging, anything like that. So if he makes a mistake, if he gets in the way, obviously we have ways to cover the distance. Things start to unravel very quickly here. And Vanguard Spearhead is a very high skill kind of army to play, so you can't make any mistakes there, but it was still a difficult game because you could see 76 points. It is one of those things that you have to know their moves and their reaction capabilities, what they can do. They're going to come up table edges, so that comes to you as an Orc player to have kind of a board control presence, continue to score even while they're doing their shenanigans, and understand they don't really have the volume on that list to kill you as they want, but when they do kill you, they're going to reliably kill you. It's just not a viable trade for them, unlike that World Leaders list we just covered. And his third matchup, Ryan Broderick, let's see, with Death Guard. So our boy decided to overcome Death Guard today. Let's see what this looks like. Biologia Putrefier, Lord Virulence, Mortarion, and Typhus. So we don't see as much of the heavy character combo. Typhus still great, Mortarion's still good. 1 Plague Marine unit, ooh, that's it. And then 1 Rhino. Okay. 1 unit of Cultists. Oh, so he did bring the Death Shrouds. Typically, he probably brought them for Typhus even. I don't think Typhus can even go with Death Shrouds at the moment. So he probably brought them for, well, he probably can, but he probably brought them for the Lord of Virulence because I think Typhus goes with the Poxwalker. And then he has two 2-man units of Malefitic Blight Haulers. I don't hate them. I just think the drones are significantly more useful for a Death Guard army. That's what I would say, right? So, yeah. And we have 1, 2, 3 Plague Wars Callers and a 20-man unit Poxwalkers, probably get Typhus. So the biggest takeaway here I would want to say is if you're bringing Death Shroud and they don't have the Sorcerer, because the Sorcerer can give them so many different compounding effects and damage, that's one thing. And then not having the Foul Blightspawn is a huge factor as well. Not even having multiple of them, and not having multiple units of the Plague Marines is a huge factor as well. As these are the most damaging, problematic units for Orcs when you put them in a Rhino. You're like, oh, I can't get the initiative on them. Oh, and then they get to kind of get the initiative on you. They get to pop lethal. They get to lethal 5s, crit 5s. They get to fight first. They get to use free grenades at another character. Things kind of unravel very quickly if they have multiple of these units, or if they have multiple of the Death Shroud units and then actual character buff. Here, instead, they went for these Mephitic Blight Hauler. These 400 points of Mephitic Blight Haulers would be, more crawlers. I mean, more Plague Marines instead. But I can see he just wanted to go for an armored support version. But I'm not sure if that's the kind of matchup you want into this version of an Orc list, because he does have a Beast Boss on Squigosaur. He does have at least some boys that are running around in trucks and a battle wagon that's not getting popped easily by Mephitic Blight Haulers. They don't really have great range. I would like to know how the Mandos went into play in some of these lists, but it's just one of those things that it's mission dependent. Mandos are very much a skill thing where it's like, okay, what was happening on that mission that I can choose to do with them? So shout out for winning that, because he put up a 94-point win. Now going into his second to last matchup, he's going into another. Is this another Space Marine, or did I kick that twice? I'm making sure I didn't mess this up. So I messed that up. Yeah. Okay. I was like, this is a different Space Marine player already? Yeah. So he went into another Vanguard Space Marine player. So obviously this guy knew how to deal with Vanguard by now. Biologia Putrefier with Apothecary Biologus, with the Blade Driven Deep, a Librarian in Phobos armor, Magnus Kaldar, and Yo-Yo Ventress. Again, because that's the point of when you play Vanguard, you kind of... Okay, but he brought the big Aggressor squad instead. I like that. Brought some damage and punching. An Eradicator squad, just one big one. 2 Lancers. Don't really love to see Lancers pointing at your battle wagon. A big brick of Inceptors with Plasma, a small unit of Inceptors, 2 units of Infiltrators, 2 units of Scout, and a Caladius Assassin. Not a lot of stuff moving into the mid-table. Playing and holding primary could be the difficulty here. He is, you know, possibly using these guys to stop reserves for other armies and everything like that. You know, we're not looking to do too much of that. He can at least screen from Necrons and such, so I can get why he brought all that. But he really just had these scouts to run up into the middle of the table and the aggressors. Other than that, he's just kind of just hoping he can outmaneuver you with his Vanguard detachment ability. So they are a tricky get, but it's one of those things that I appreciate when they bring them, the Space Marine player brings them, but you need to be very much on your P's and Q's when you're playing, because things will just unravel against Orks very quickly. We'll just start running you over and tagging things and making charges, and boom, it's all over. It's all over. And last but certainly not least, we have the Tau Empire. No crisis, no enhancement, no problem. So he has Cadre Fireblade, Shadow Sun, Dark Strider, Long Strike. Boom. This is a weird list. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 Breachers and 3 Devilfish. All the Breachers are going on the Devilfish. Straight up great combo. Ghost Keel Battlesuit, Hammerhead Gunship. Okay, a bit more reliable anti-tank. Crew, 2 Piranhas. You know, Piranhas aren't bad at all, dude. And have a Piranha make you take a battle shock test and you fail it. Watch what happens. That happened. So then we have a Riptide and Battlesuit, and another Riptide in the Battlesuit, and another Riptide. These guys are actually pretty dope, I think, for their point cost and where they're at right now. Stealth suits, Tetra. Only 1 Tetra. Okay, only 1 Tetra. I'm very much thinking that Mandos helped in this matchup. Maybe I'm just being biased, getting 100 points, but Mandos are one of those things that you're like, you're not going to overwatch me. You're not going to countercharge me. I'm going to get in the way of your transports. I can, especially if I go first, or I'll just stage here. When you do shoot at me, I'm stealth. I have a 5-up invuln, and if I have to, because you're putting only petty small arms fire into me, I'll pop Artist Nails. So I actually do think, you know, Mandos would place correctly in this kind of mission, terrain, everything like that. Going into Tau, Mandos are a great tool and utility piece. So I really think Mandos pulled it through on that mission, because they were just able to put pressure up right away. And as everything else starts moving forward, the Mandos can try to tag something, try to stop those transports from moving into place, quickly skirmish with breachers, stuff like that. Shout out to Shawn Plant for going 5-1 at the super major event. That's fantastic, representing the Great WAAAGH for the rise of the Green Tide has happened again. If you enjoyed the clip, check out the full video here. If you'd like to see more tactics, click here.
Let's get stuck in, lads!